Warm greetings to our participants and to all of our viewers for this, the online Asia Pacific Leadership Conference. My name is Greg Stone. I'm the Secretary General of the Universal Peace Federation in the Oceania region, and it's my privilege to be your MC for this opening session. This is our third Asia Pacific Leadership Conference that we've held. And it begins today with this opening session, and it will continue on for the next 2 weeks until the 30th of January, when we'll have our graduating ceremony. So you'll have quite a bit of work to do in the meantime. So congratulations on joining the program. Today, we have a large number of participants, which it's our great privilege to introduce to you now. We have 107 participants from 12 nations in the Asia Pacific region. And to introduce them, I'm going to call upon our sub-regional directors. 4 of our sub-regional directors will be introduced now to introduce their participants from their particular region. First, I would like to introduce Mr. Hajime Saito from the Indo-China region, which is Asia Pacific #1. So let's give Mr. Saito a warm welcome.
Yeah. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I would like to introduce from Cambodia, we have the 28 participants, and especially for the 10 provincial council members from Battambang Provincial Hall are here. And we have also the leaders from the provincial hall. Thank you for coming, welcome. And also we have the 6 advisory committee members for UPF Cambodia here. And also we have the professor from Myanmar here, together with our UPF supporter in here. Welcome to third Asian Pacific Leadership Conference. Welcome.
Thank you. Big welcome to all of our participants from the Indochina region. Thank you so much. Our next sub-regional director is Mr. Julius Meligdam, and he is the sub-regional director for Asia Pacific 2. So let's give him a warm welcome to introduce his participants.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Reverend Stone. To all our leaders of Universal Peace Federation, thank you very much for convening once again this online Asia Pacific Leadership Conference. So for Southeast Asia, we have some very good participants this time. From the Philippines, we have 5 participants, and I would like to recognize joining us in this opening session is Honorable Judy Vargas. She is the Vice Mayor of the Municipality of Lingayen, Pangasinan. So she is here joining us. Thank you very much, Madam. And also joining us in this third batch is also the Mayor of Municipality of Lianera in Nueva Ecija in the Philippines. That's Honorable Armando Lapurga. And also we have 4 participants from Indonesia. And I would like to recognize Honorable Insinyur Anton Nangoy. He is the Vice Chairman of Indonesian Chamber of Commerce. Thank you for joining this third batch of APLC. And I would like also to recognize Reverend Amiruddin Wasugay, who is the President of Salvation Army Institute of Theology in Palu, Indonesia. And we also have participants, 3 participants from Malaysia, and 2 participants from Singapore. Thank you.
Thank you so much. A big welcome to our participants from Southeast Asia too. Now moving to South Asia. And to introduce our participants from this particular region, we have Mr. Santosh Kaudal. Please welcome him. Need to unmute.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Reverend Greg Stone. And here in our online leadership conference, our chairman, Honorable Leknath, and Akal, and Dr. Robert S. Kittel, and then Mrs. Ursula McLachlan, and all our regional directors. So I'm very happy to report you representing South Asia. We have a participants from Nepal, 25 participants, and from India we have a 24 participants. And I would like to introduce you our VIPs with honor. So especially from Nepal, he's a National Reconstruction Authority under the Office of the Prime Minister and Councillor Minister, Dhruva Prasad Paudel, Engineer Dhruva Prasad Paudel. And also, I would like to introduce from Nepal, from the Infrastructure Development Office, Mr. Dhruva Narayan Saha. And last but not least, from the Director of Office Florid Medi Trade Concern from the business field, Mr. Dhruva Bahadur Pandey. And also, I would like to introduce our VIPs from India, our professor and social activist, Dr. Archana Bhattacharya, and also Professor Arun Brahman. Yes, sir, I would like to really honor to introduce you. And also Yuka, from the Yuka Kendra Sangathan, Shri Puran Chhetriji is a youth coordinator of Nehru Yuka Kendra Sangathan from Sikkim, and many leaders from Nehru Yuva Kendra, and then many other important leaders from Nepal and India are joining. So thank you. This is my honor. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Paudel, and another wonderful group of distinguished participants coming from South Asia to join this distinguished group of participants this time. Our final region, which will introduce its participants, is the Oceania region. And I'd like to invite Mr. Yutaka Yamada, who is a sub-regional director, to introduce participants from the Oceania region.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Thank you, Reverend Stone, Secretary General of UPF Oceania. And warm greeting to our Asian Pacific leaders, our Dr. Kito, Honorable Ekna, and President also H. Hori, and all our presenters and participants. It is my great pleasure to meet you and introduce our participants from Oceania. It is really first Oceania Leadership Conference 2021, so real time. So our participant is coming from Australia, Brisbane, New Zealand, Brisbane, Sydney, and also the Victoria, Melbourne, and also New Zealand, and Fiji, and Samoa. So I hope all our leaders join this conference to learn, discuss well, and also we can unite together for peace. Once again, we are really happy to meet you, and let's have a great time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Yutaka Yamada, for that introduction of the Oceania participants. So we can see we have an amazing group, a very diverse, very distinguished group of more than 107 participants from the Asia Pacific region. So welcome, big welcome to all of you. Now it's my privilege to introduce for his opening remarks, President Damien Dunkley. President Dunkley holds a degree in multimedia arts and communication, and also a master's degree in religious education from Unification Theological Seminary. And he's held several very important positions in the Family Federation in the USA recently, including the national president of the USA, before taking up his most recent position, his current position as the regional president of the Family Federation Asia Pacific 1. So please join me in giving a warm welcome to President Damien Dunkley.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Hello. Good morning, I think, for most of us. Good morning. Good day, dear family. We are blessed. We are so blessed. I'm here right now in Cambodia, and I'm out in Siem Reap, and I've been visiting families and leaders here, which I really consider to be the heavenly field of great advancement and development. And so hopefully my internet connection will last just a few minutes that I can greet you and be with you today. I just want to acknowledge that we are blessed and be grateful with you together, that we are living in such a unique time in human history. You know, so unique, I think we can agree. Mother Moon recently explained several times, reminding us, even you can say warning us, that we cannot solve the very real challenges that face us with human power alone. Even with great infrastructure and intellect and resources, it's not enough. And that humanity cannot advance any further without attending God as our heavenly parent. So that is why we are creating a new movement that attends God as our heavenly parent. That is the real opportunity that we have here. Together, we are creating a place where everyone can feel welcomed, loved, and respected as children of our heavenly parent. This is what can bring us together as one family, regardless of our religion, our race, our skin, our socioeconomic standing. And I've never met anyone who has led such a movement greater than Father and Mother in this respect. So I feel so honored to be together with you as a part of this. This is a time of high yield. You know, what do I mean? That's like, not only will we overcome challenges by working together in this way, but we will see great abundant blessings in every realm of our personal, family, community, national, and world life. I believe it totally. This content that we are here to receive is unique in all of human history. And already we will know in our inner minds, you know, we know when we hear something that is true, something that is eternally true. And that is my experience with this precious content. So we're blessed to inherit this knowledge, which has eternal and universal value. Nobody can own this content. This is a gift to all of humanity. I believe even our ancestors in heaven are anxious to hear and digest every word. That's why we should really invest and stay awake and participate fully and understand and allow our own original mind to come through and add to and relate with it. So God really needs us too. You know, I can feel like rice, you know, so how do we plant rice for a high yield? If we plant the rice too close together, then we can harvest. You know, we will see the rice grain, but maybe the plants, if they're too close together, they're fighting for the elements, and we will see just a small amount of rice. So it's a small yield. If we plant the rice just alone, too far apart, then maybe the rice shoots feel lonely, unprotected. So maybe we can discover the best way to plant the rice is in little clusters, right? Far apart, but in little groups, like little families together. This might be a true principle of agriculture for rice, but how do we grow the heart of the human being? How do we grow the heart of the family and humanity? We need to inherit from heaven the true secret, like how to grow rice, how to have a high yield of rice, we need the heavenly secret of how to create a heavenly environment for our families, our future descendants. And that's why when we're faced with COVID-19, even the mightiest nations have proven that they are defenseless against this tiny attack, this tiny virus. So even the most well-advanced nations don't have the answer how to solve it. So even this is enough to prove that now we've come to a point in human history where in order to advance, we can't go alone, one better than the other, ignoring the other. We must go together, united, centering on common and universal values that will be true 1,000 years ago and 1,000 years from now. That's what we have here. That's how lucky we are to be counted among the first who can inherit and work together and build universal happiness for all of humanity. So I'm so honored to be with you and receiving this content together with you. I believe we're now in the year of the white cow, right? By Eastern thinking, a Chinese zodiac, the white cow. And recently Mother Moon testified to the beauty of the white cow, which helps us in our agriculture work, but also they give us their food. Even we can make a cow bone soup, like all of the flesh and the bones we use, and even the skin we use for our clothing. That's how much the cow sacrifices. And so I don't know, maybe in some countries, maybe like India, we don't want to use the cow that way. But anyway, we can learn from different cultures, right? The beauty of ancient wisdom and truth that really touches our internal mind. So let us invest everything and enjoy this time together. Please fully enjoy this content, this series, and God bless you. I love you as my family, my brothers and sisters. Yes, you are the most important people because you can inherit and multiply the most important universal truth and value that will advance humanity to the next era of peace. Thank you so much, and God bless you.
Thank you so much, President Damien Dunkley, for that excellent and inspiring introduction to all of us. We have something very great to look forward to. I'd like to now call for congratulatory remarks. And we have a very special person to do that. Excellency Luat Pong. He is member of the Battambang Provincial Council in Cambodia. And he graduated from our second batch of the ambassador of the Asia Pacific Leadership Conference. He has had an excellent experience and he'd like to share that with us today. So please join me in welcoming Excellency Luat Pong.
Thank you. Respected Dr. Robert Kittel, Honorable Ignat Dakal, Chairman of UPF Asia Pacific, President Damien Dunkley, Co-President UPF Asia Pacific 1. I heard President Dunkley is not in Siem Reap now. Please don't forget to visit Battambang. We will prepare to receive you in Battambang with warm welcome. Good morning. My name is Luat Pong, the representative of Battambang Provincial Council. I'm honored to speak this online conference as speakers for the morning's opening session. Before I begin, I would like to congratulate the Asia Pacific Leadership Conference over the years. The Asian Pacific Conference has become one of the leading international conferences. I'm very happy to attend this conference for the third time. In this COVID-19 pandemic time, we were facing such as convenient situation, and everybody are expecting for ending of this pandemic soon. I would like to. It is very sure that even this COVID-19 has stopped, still in current situation will continue because it is really difficult was to get back the husband what we have continued to do for a year. If this pandemic continued for a year, in this case, we didn't prepare anything in order to get back. It may take 2 years more for getting back to original position. Probably, I can say for UPF has been helping us a lot, especially for our Battambang province. Even hundreds of leaders from North Cambodia have joined ALC in Bangkok. Even we are so miss that conference with the wonderful lecturer, Dr. Robert Kittel and Ms. Ursula. In that time, what we could learn in Bangkok, it was very useful for us to apply to our mission field. Now, we have an online education program. Honestly speaking, it is not so exciting as Bangkok conference, but it depends on us to make this not exciting online program to exciting program. Now we have to make serious effort to make the situation when this pandemic finish, we can go back to the original state. I consider this up to our effort right after pandemic. We can go back not only for the original stage, but make our situation better than before. That effort must be similar to make this online education program as exciting. Actually, this education program itself is exciting, but if we just watch without making any work, any good program become boring. What we have learned, we identify principles that allow us to address our common challenges, including the challenges what we face right now. To make the situation as difficult or as a chance for great next step is up to the view from which person we see. One of the principles which can transform from difficulties to chances is the principle of living for the sake of others. That is reality, open the new peaceful community and connected to world peace. Our respected ambassadors for peace, now members of UPF, those who love the peace, welcome to our peace education session. One day I want to be a peace lecturer to introduce this peace principle to all over Cambodia. And congratulations for all of you. After concluding this session, you will be able to be peace lecturer too. Thank you for your attention.
So thank you, Excellency Luat Thong, for those excellent congratulatory remarks. You've already attended 3 of the Asia Pacific Leadership Conferences, so you certainly have a great foundation, and also a calling to all of us to be to have the ambition to teach it in the future. Thank you. I'd now like to introduce the video presentation on Universal Peace Federation International. So this will give a broad overview of the work of UPF worldwide.
UPF had its inaugural assembly on September 12, 2005 at the Lincoln Center in New York City. Reverend Sun Myung Moon delivered the keynote address.
In closing, I ask you to devote your best efforts for the development and the success of the Universal Peace Federation. Thank you. Thank you.
After UPF was founded, there was a series of world tours where the message of UPF was taken literally to every corner of the world.
That it is time for all nations and religions to break down their barriers. Through this, the era of one family under God will arrive and last forever.
UPF is God's cherished hope. The founders spoke repeatedly of an international peace highway connecting the world from Santiago, Chile to London, across the Bering Strait, what has come to be known as the Peace Road, and a vision for a renewed United Nations. UPF emerged on the foundation of decades of programs initiated by its founders and carried out in all parts of the world. Its growth and development over the past 15 years has been dramatic, if not miraculous, owing in large part to the work of tens of thousands of ambassadors for peace, peace activists, and volunteers who draw from all nationalities, religions, ethnicities, cultures, and traditions, bound together by a vision of peace, a vision of humanity as one global family under one God. The range of programs over the years has been both broad and expansive, from character education to strengthening the family, from conflict prevention to conflict resolution, from poverty reduction to environmental stewardship, from interfaith dialogue to youth service initiatives, from support of the United Nations to partnerships with the African Union, and a wide range of international organizations and NGOs. UPF has a global, multinational, multi-faith network of more than 100,000 ambassadors for peace who support and contribute to the mission and works of UPF. UPF's highest award, the Leadership and Good Governance Award, has been given to distinguished leaders the world over. The World Summit Series is UPF's flagship program involving the highest level of leaders from around the globe, including current and former heads of state and government, to address the critical challenges facing humanity.
Very appropriate that we're here on the 100th anniversary of Reverend Moon's birth, because out of the devastation of World War II and the Korean War, he and his bride found the courage to dream that they could achieve something. And it is amazing what they have created together.
Programs have been successfully held in Korea, the USA, Senegal, South Africa, Nepal, Cambodia, and other nations. The most recent structural innovation within UPF has been the creation of a set of associations dedicated to collaboration among leaders from various fields. These pillar associations are: the International Summit Council for Peace was initiated by UPF co-founder Dr. Hak Ja Han Moon in 2019 on the occasion of World Summit 2019 in Seoul, Korea. ISCP is an international network of current and former heads of state and government. The International Association of First Ladies, IAFLP, a project of the ISCP, affirms and uplifts the unique role of First Ladies in contributing to peace and development. IAFLP brings together current and former First Ladies from throughout the world, drawing upon their experience and wisdom as women leaders and as role models who serve their countries in significant ways. The International Association of Parliamentarians for Peace, IAPP, is a worldwide association of parliamentarians which provides a forum to bring their experience and wisdom to bear in the search for solutions to our world's problems. UPF maintains that any successful strategy for peace must take into account the spiritual dimension of our human identity, experience, and interactions. Based on this worldview, UPF initiated the Interreligious Association for Peace and Development, IAPD. The International Media Association for Peace, IMAP, represents a worldwide professional network of journalists who support a socially responsible and moral media. IMAP recognizes the vital role that journalists play in providing objective reporting to foster an informed citizenship. The International Association of Academicians for Peace, IAAP, is a global interdisciplinary academic initiative aimed at contributing toward the realization of a world of lasting peace. IAAP is dedicated to building professional networks for academicians to foster a world of peace. The International Association for Peace and Economic Development, IAED, affirms the role of businesses, business leaders, and investors to make the world a better place. In early 2020, UPF convened a Rally of Hope featuring dignitaries including Pastor Paula White, Cambodia Head of State His Excellency Hun Sen, President Macky Sall of Senegal, former Canadian Prime Minister Stephen Harper, former US Speaker of the House Newt Gingrich, former UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon, and many others.
I believe that the Universal Peace Federation and its broad set of partnerships in the realms of politics, religion, academia, media, economy, arts, women and youth serve as a good model. I believe the Universal Peace Federation will become a cornerstone to build lasting peace around the world and the heavenly unified Korea based on interdependence, mutual prosperity, and universal values.
Celebrating 15 years, UPF will continue to grow through service, dialogue, and collaboration, guided by its spiritual and moral vision of one family under God.
Thank you so much for that video. It certainly gives a beautiful overview of the remarkable and diverse outreach of UPF. And even in the last 12 months of the pandemic, over 700 million people were touched and influenced by UPF around the world. To explain to us a bit more about these aspects and the work of UPF, I'd now like to invite our Honourable Eknath Dikal for his chairman's remarks. Honourable Eknath Dikal, he served as a minister in the Nepalese Constituent Assembly and Legislative Parliament from 2008 to 2012 and again 2014 to 2017. In the Nepal government, he served as Minister for Cooperatives and Poverty Alleviation and also Minister for Peace and Reconstruction. He is also the chair of the Nepal Family Party and convener of South Asia Peace Initiative and chairman of the Universal Peace Federation in the Asia Pacific and the International Association of Parliamentarians for Peace. So, Honourable Eknath Dikal, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Sir Greg Stone, the Deputy Secretary General of UPF Asia Pacific, for moderating this opening plenary. Excellencies, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, it is a great pleasure for me to share a few words at this significant virtual gathering on behalf of the co-founders of UPF and organizing committee of the Asia Pacific Leadership Conference. I extend my good wishes and full support for the success of this important virtual conference. Thank you for taking time from your busy schedule to participate in this conference. Thank you, His Excellency Lut Phong from Cambodia and President Damien Dunkley, the co-chair of UPF from Asia Pacific, for your beautiful remarks. Universal Peace Federation is a worldwide network of individuals and organizations, including representatives from religion, government, civil society, and private sector dedicated to achieving world peace. UPF holds the general consultative status with the Economic and Social Council of the United Nations. It was founded by the great founders, Dr. and Mrs. Moon, in 2005, based on the foundation of their decades of worldwide humanitarian and peace activities. UPF support the work of the United Nations. We have gathered here to discover new ways to realize lasting peace. There is a growing awareness among people throughout the world of the urgent need for an innovative vision and bold leadership if we are to resolve the critical issues of our time. During the course of the program, we'll consider the innovative strategies for the revival of our family, society, nations, and world towards happiness, interdependence, and co-prosperity. Although peace needs to be realized first in the individual, it must not stop there. Peace must be brought into family relationships, then it creates harmonious communities and becomes the fiber of our nation. Finally, on this foundation, peace may be realized throughout the world. But peace begins with us and our family. This is the key. Uncontrolled selfishness is the breeding ground for conflict, division, and hatred at every level of the human society. Unfortunately, we can no longer tolerate the current state of affairs in the world. The cries of the people are louder as they are often neglected by their leaders. Many methods adopted by all leaders to handle global issues are not bearing good results. Because of this, there is a vacuum of right vision and leadership to secure lasting peace and prosperity. This is why the proper vision and responsible leadership is crucial for nation building and peace. UPF has been fostering partnership between government and civil society as a new model of peace building in the 21st century. UPF Summit series held in all continents in the world, including in Asia Pacific, in Nepal, Cambodia, and Palau, are examples, among others, of our commitment to create a better society. UPF continued to active in promoting a unified world of peace, even amidst the COVID-19 pandemic. The Rallies of Hope, co-organized by UPF along with the Family Federation for World Peace and Unification, has brought all leaders together to fight against the pandemic and to usher into a new era of a unified world peace. The keynote speakers at the Rallies of Hope, as we just saw at the video presentation, include the current and former President and Prime Ministers, top leaders of the United Nations, the European Union, and the African Union, and also the Nobel Peace Prize laureates, among others. Currently, we are preparing for the 5th Rally of Hope, which will be held on the 17th February 2021, and we invite all of you to join. One of the dream projects of our founder in our Asia-Pacific region is the establishment of the Asia-Pacific Union to usher into a new era of a unified, peaceful, and prosperous Asia-Pacific. UPF is also carrying on series of conferences to promote the peaceful reunification of the Korean Peninsula. We are inviting experts to serve in our Think Tank 2022 forum to contribute to the establishment of peace and stability in Northeast Asia. Other initiatives of UPF in our region includes the South Asia Peace Initiative, Central Asia Forum, Peace Road, and Asian Clergy Leadership Conference. UPF's 7 primary associations relating with heads of state and government, first ladies, parliamentarians, interfaith dialogue, academics, economic, media, and arts are convening their activities to realize the hope of all ages, a unified world of peace. This conference will be taught by world-class presenter, Dr. Robert S. Kittel, the Director of Education for UPF in Asia Pacific, and Mrs. Ursula McLachlan, the Secretary General of UPF Asia Pacific, who have expertise and decades of experiences on the field of peace education. I am confident that this Asia Pacific Leadership Conference will achieve its goal. Surely, the deliberations and insights gained from these discussions will be milestones for nation building and lasting peace in our own respective nations and the world. Thank you very much and namaste.
Turn it off.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Honourable Eknath Dekal, for those very illuminating words explaining about the very extensive work of UPF and the practical programs. Our next presentation will be from Dr. Robert S. Kittel, the Director of Education of UPF in the Asia Pacific region, and he'll speak to us on the need for universal principles. I travelled with Dr. Kittel throughout the Pacific, all the way from Papua New Guinea, Vanuatu, Solomon Islands, Fiji, right out into the middle of the Pacific in Samoa. He's an excellent educator. People out there love him, and his teachings have a very, very great impact. Dr. Kittel received his doctoral degree from the University of Bridgeport in Connecticut, USA in 2004, specializing in family values-based education for teenagers. He's lived and worked in Asia since 1975, and he's currently living with his wife in the Philippines. They have 2 lovely daughters and beautiful grandchild. Dr. Kittel is currently the Director of Education of UPF in the Asia Pacific. So please join me in giving him a very warm welcome.
Good day, and thank you for joining us. Greg Stone is our MC, President Dunkley for your really engaging, welcoming remarks, Honorable Eknath for the education that we have, the vision of what UPF can do in this region, and also His Excellency Uri, the peace educator, wants to be a peace educator. We look forward to that. We need many, many peace educators. And I'd also like to give greetings from Blessed Dekal. She is the International and Asia Pacific Coordinator for the First Ladies Association for Peace. She's unable to be with us. She apologizes, but wanted to welcome the 2 or 3 guests that are here with us today. Let us start and really learn and I'm going to hide this and I'm going to start this. It should be okay. I'm assuming you can see my opening slide. Virtual Asia Pacific Leadership Conference. Today is the 16th of January, and in 2 weeks, as was mentioned, on January 30th, we will have our graduation. I hope to see all of you at that graduation at that time. Thank you for coming, especially for the registered guests who are here. We've invited really as many as we can. We have 107 guests from 12 nations, and we are honored that you are spending your time with us over these next 2 weeks together. Our theme, providing vision and leadership. Vision and leadership. Vision, in other words, what are the principles and the ideals that we need, and the leadership, how we have implemented those for building nations of peace. This presentation will talk about the need for universal principles. The background. As we all know, the Universal Peace Federation and the sharing of these teachings that we will give with you, share with you today, are coming from Father and Mother Moon. This is important because they come from Asia. They don't come from the West. Right now, there's actually quite a bit of confusion going on in the Western society in terms of moral values and family breakdown. So we need an ideology and a system that comes from Asia where the family is much stronger. And you will see that throughout these presentations, the strong emphasis on the importance of marriage and family in nation building. If you want to be an architect, then you study the principles of architecture, because if you don't apply the principles of architecture, your building will lean or fall down. If you want to be an electrical engineer, you study the principles of electrical engineering, because if you wire the building wrong, it might burn down. If you want to be a civil engineer, you go and you take classes and you study hard and you graduate and you take tests, you get a certificate. I am a civil engineer. But when you get that certificate, it does not just give you a job, it gives you responsibility, because whatever you build, if that bridge falls down, you will be responsible. Everything operates by principles, everything. It's without exception. The word ubiquitous is very appropriate here. Ubiquitous means everywhere, all the time, without exception. And we can say that is true here. In the molecular world, it's governed by principles. In the solar systems, it's governed by principles. Everything operates by principles, even for us to be able to fly. In 1903, the Wright brothers finally made air flight possible for human beings, but they needed 2 things. They needed to understand and apply the principle of aerodynamics, the vision and the understanding, the vision of flying and also the principles of aerodynamics. Without that, they can only dream of flying. We need both. We need to understand the principles and we need to apply them in order to have peace. What about peace? We can dream of peace and we can see peace in nature. but we don't have it. What society can say they are the model for a peaceful world? I don't know. It's hard pressed. So we need to create that model. It's not enough just to dream of peace or see peace in nature. That is not enough. We're not satisfied with that. We need to know the fundamental principles of peace, because without these principles, we cannot build a world of peace. We need to understand them and live by them. So what are they? Well, everyone is looking for them. Kofi Annan, former UN Secretary General. Universal values. Universal values must be based on universal principles. They are more acutely needed in this age of globalization than ever before. That is so true. We are seeing that happen right now. The pandemic that we see ravaging every nation of the world is doing so not because it's contagious and deadly, which it is, but because we're not working together as nations. And therefore, this pandemic continues to run rampant. And now we even have a second wave of a more contagious virus. Dennis Prager said, without a shared value system, how does a society survive? It doesn't. So what are the basic principles? Let me first talk about the criteria, because we're very serious. If we're going to establish world peace, these principles have to go through the test. In other words, will they withstand? So there are 5 basic criteria that these principles must undergo. 1, they must apply everywhere. It doesn't matter where you live, Africa, Asia, America, Antarctica, it doesn't matter. These principles must apply. It doesn't matter what time frame you lived in, whether it was the past, the present, or the future. These principles must apply. They are unchanging, so they can't change. These principles must apply also to the individual, to the family, to the society, to the nation, of the world. They're scalable. We cannot have a different set of principles for the individual and then change them when we try to build peaceful families, or let's change them again and build peaceful societies, change them a 4th time and build peaceful nations, and ultimately let's change them again. It won't work. So they have to be the same set of principles. They have to be scalable. And they have to apply in all cultures and all religions. This is probably the most challenging part. Father Moon, in his effort before he passed away in 2012, had this book commissioned called World Scripture, looking for and trying to discover the common kind of themes that run through all the world's religions. So in his own teachings, Father Moon said this truth, what he is trying to do, the mission statement of what he is doing, this truth must be able to embrace all historical religions, ideologies, and philosophies, embrace them, and bring complete unity among them. That's what he is trying to do. Find these common values that we can work together to build a peaceful, prosperous, sustainable world. So I want to start here. If these teachings are universally true, as we claim, they should help you to be a better Christian, or Buddhist, or Jew, or Confucianist, or Hindu. In other words, these principles will be both within each religious tradition and transcend them at the same time. It has to be able to do that. Here's the important thing. Therefore, you do not need to change your religion. That's not what we are trying to do. We will yes.
Can't hear you. I'm not sure why. I think that's it. That's
Am
better.
I okay on this?
You're now, you were on mute for a little while. Just for half a minute. Please go ahead.
Am I okay?
Yes. We can hear you now.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Yep. We can hear.
I'm going to stop here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
I'm having trouble with my mic. I apologize for that. I rebooted my computer and it works for a while. Let's go back and we will continue where I left off. I apologize for this. Okay, so they must apply in all cultures. We've talked about that. The fifth criteria for these principles is they must be scientific, logical, and very, very simple. So simple that if you are a farmer in the field and you haven't graduated from high school or matriculate, you will still be able to recognize these principles and say, yes, they are true. So Sir Isaac Newton, he did not invent gravity, he just explained it. And everybody saw the effect of gravity, but he was able to explain it. And so we call him a genius. I believe Father Moon is a genius because he discovered, he didn't invent, but he discovered these fundamental principles. So what are the universal principles? What are they? How many are there? You would be guessing if you didn't know. There are two fundamental, absolute, unchanging principles. The first one is the dual purpose principle of mind and body. Dual purpose means the mind has a purpose, the body has a purpose, and as we will see, not just their purpose, but their alignment and priority is really important. When they are aligned correctly, then this creates the essence of goodness. The second absolute, unchanging, eternal principle is the pair system, man and woman. And this is horizontal in nature, and they create true love. The most powerful love is the love between a man and a woman. It's the love that can actually conceive children. So these two principles, the first one, the mind and body is vertical in nature, so we call it the pillar. It's the pillar, it's vertical. And when you want to build a building, the first thing you do is you put in the pillars, and the pillars have to be straight, exactly straight, not 89 or 91, but 90 degrees straight. And they have to be strong because the pillars will hold the beams. And that's the first thing. So we need these pillars in our lives. And this is the vertical tradition. The mind is more important than the body. We need both, but the mind is more important. The family is more important than the individual. Again, we need both, but the family is more important. And the community is more important than the family. Both are needed, but priority is important. The nation is more important than the community. And finally, the world. This is the problem we're at today. Well, people are saying my nation is the most important and neglecting the world, and we cannot solve the environmental problems. As Damien pointed out in the very beginning, Mother Moon is saying, ultimately, we even need God so that we can have his principles and understand what they are. The family is the seed for these principles to be inculcated. It's the beginning point of this vertical tradition. It's a ladder. It's the first step on a vertical tradition. It's the relationship between parents and children, and we will go into it in more detail in the next presentation, but this is critically important. And this is why the family is important, because we learn to honor our parents. We are building that ladder in this relationship. We're building good character in this relationship. We're building this vertical structure where we honor our parents. The second principle is the man-woman relationship, and we call this one the beam. And it's the relationship of men and women. It's equal. Men and women are equal. So it's not vertical, it's horizontal, it's equal. And this pair system exists throughout everything in creation. Everything is created in pairs, everything. It's ubiquitous. Remember that word? Everywhere, all the time. And so when you have the pillars and beams together, what do you have? Well, then you have the basic structure. And you can put the doors and the windows wherever you want. You can change them later. And you can put the curtains and the carpets, and change them later. But you cannot change the pillars and beams. If you start moving the pillars and beams around, that building will collapse. So you can use it. There can be many functions for this building. It can be an office building, apartment building, a school. But the pillars and beams are the invisible part. Now we see them, but later when they put the facade around the building, we won't see them, but they have to be unchanging and eternal. If you remove the pillars and beams, that building will collapse. And that's how they implode buildings these days. They put small packets of dynamite on the pillars and beams and they detonate them, and this building just collapses. Well, if we do not have the pillars and beams in our character, our individual character will collapse. If they're not in our family will collapse. If these pillars and beams are not in societies or nations, they will collapse. And in fact, world history is a testimony that we've not understood the importance of these fundamental principles, and we see the rise and fall of civilizations continually throughout history. So what we need to do is to solve this problem, not only currently, but historically. No civilization has built a lasting culture. And even the mighty Western Empire, America today, actually they're teetering on a very dangerous precipice right now. So I ask a simple question: which is more important, the pillar or the beam? Well, if you look in nature, the pillar is called the trunk. The beam is called the branch. So which is bigger? The trunk. And here in the mighty oak tree, which is bigger, the trunk or the branch? The trunk. And here in the redwood tree, wow, the trunk. Redwood tree would live 1,000 years and never gets infected by a disease or an insect. Amazing. So we have two things. Which is more important, the mind and body relationship or the man-woman relationship? Well, very simply, all men have minds and bodies. All women have minds and bodies. So the mind and body is more fundamental. It's fundamental to both man and woman. It is more essential. In other words, my character is more important than my gender. My gender is important. It's not an either or. But if we don't focus on character development, the mind-body relationship, dual purpose principle, then we are making a fundamental mistake, whether it is in education or the laws that we create or the standards that we have for our entertainment industry or whatever. In our themes, many of you have attended the World Summit. We have the theme Interdependence, Mutual Prosperity, and Universal Values. They are running through both the regional and the World Summit. Simply put, these universal values, interdependence, yes, we want to live in a society of peace. Mutual prosperity, yes, we want development that is shared and mutual. But it cannot happen without universal values. People say there's no development without peace. That's true. And no peace without development. That's true. But you cannot have either peace or development without the universal values. What are they? Here they are. These universal principles, they apply everywhere throughout history and into the future. And they are found also within all religions and even beyond the religions. These are the two fundamentals. We will see them explained more clearly. Live for the sake of others and honor marriage. Those are the two unchanging absolute principles. They are learned, they are imbibed, they are inculcated, they are brought into our character and into our relationships in the family. Again, this is why the family is so important. If the family breaks down, no society can survive. It's not possible. These are the absolute, unchanging, eternal principles, more valuable than diamond and gold. But diamond and gold are valuable because they are unchanging. But these two principles, the pair system and the dual purpose principle, they are even more unchanging. They were created in one sense even before the golden diamonds. They were the original ideals, principles of creation. So in the next presentation, the immediate one after this, it will be shown that these two principles can be observed in all aspects of existence. They are found in science, in religion, all religions, philosophy, sociology, civil rights, politics, economics, philosophy, and in everyday life. In following presentations, understanding these two principles will offer significant insights into issues such as the purpose of life, the existence of the spiritual world, the interconnectedness of responsibility and freedom, the value of the family, and root cause of human conflict and suffering, and even in the flow of human history will be explained more clearly. So, special note as we leave, you may have questions as you study along, and the person that has invited you, your kind of mentor or host, can ask questions there. It's a good chance to dialogue. And in some cases, you can even write to us and we will respond as well. That email address is in your registration, kind of registration file that you will have. Secondly, there is an open forum on next week, same time, Saturday, January 23rd. It is recommended, highly recommended, but optional, but a chance to dialogue together. We can listen to some of your observations or field questions as well. I will be there, and also Ursula, the other co-host, and also the presenters for the case studies will also be there. One open forum, 1 week from today. And please make a determination to complete your graduation, which is in 2 weeks from now, Saturday, January 30th. Thank you again for the 107 people from 12 nations who have registered to be part of this third batch of the Asia Pacific Leadership Conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kittle, for that very enlightening and excellent presentation. Thank you also for giving us a taste of what is to come in the presentations. So we really look forward to that. As we close out this opening session, I'd like to do a rundown of the course, particularly for those who perhaps are just joining and they're not really sure how to proceed on the internet with the course. So we'll follow through this PowerPoint on how to log in, how to access the presentation. So please listen carefully, and we'll run through this right now. So the first slide is just outlining the different courses that you need to, the different classes that you'll need to click on and to go through each one of these. So this is the first one. The next slide. So these ones are all listed on the program and in the internet. So you can follow through. There's the 10 sessions that are going through there. Now I'd like to explain how you actually log in. You need to log in to access to us to get access to this Asia Pacific Leadership Conference course contents. So the first thing you need to do, of course, is to go to the website. You can click on the link that you have, which is the viewing page for the website, or you can put into your browser the website address as listed just there. So the next thing you need to do, once you go onto that opening page, you go to the login. You click on the login in order to proceed from there. And that will open up this registration page. So what you'll need to do is to put in your email address and password, and then click log in. You need to remember that the password is the same as your email address. Okay, after that, you will click on My Courses. You see that just at the top on the right-hand side, you click on My Courses to proceed further. And then you click Start Lesson for Batch 3. So this is the third Asia Pacific Leadership Conference. It's not the first or the second, but if you're in this starting now, you click on batch number 3. So click on that, and that will take you to the course. You'll see all the different classes that are listed down the right-hand side of the page there. So you begin with lesson 1. Once you've gone through lesson 1, of course, then you can also proceed step by step in sequence to lesson 2, 3, 4, all the way up to lesson number 9. Now, don't forget here that you need to click the box when you're done so that we know there it's registered that you've actually completed that particular class. So this is your homework. This is what you'll be proceeding from now after this opening session, and in your own time, you can do those lessons. So now, as Dr. Kittle just mentioned, next Saturday on January the 23rd, there will be an open forum again. This will once again be like a Zoom like we're just having right now, and you will have the opportunity to ask questions and to speak directly with Dr. Kittle and with Ursula and the presenters. So that'll be a great opportunity to come back and, to follow up on the lessons that you've done in the first week. Now, proceeding further, after you've done the 9 classes, you'll have the opportunity to look into case studies. So you'll see there on the right-hand side, the case studies. This is the additional content which goes into the practical application of these universal principles. So you need to choose, you'll have an option to choose, there's 3 different case studies. But to complete the course, you need to do at least 2 of them. Of course, you can do 3 if you want, but you need to do at least 2 to go through those 2 case studies at least. And then once you've completed that, you need to receive your e-certificate for your graduation. So to do this, you'll need to complete your evaluation form. This is very important. Some people do the course, but they forget to do the evaluation form. But that's very, very important for us as well to get the feedback. So click on that and fill in your evaluation form. And after completing that, you can then push the submit button and you submit your evaluation form. So then your course will be complete, and then you need to wait until January the 30th, which is just 2 weeks from today, on the Saturday, January the 30th, for your live closing and graduation session. So we really look forward to seeing you then as well. So this concludes the rundown of how you do the course. I hope that's understandable. If you have any further questions, please contact your local UPF representative, and he or she will be able to explain fully how to proceed with the course from here. I've just got notification that actually we've had another 10 participants who've joined us since the first announcement at the beginning of this session. So now we have 117 participants. So the numbers are growing. So that's great to welcome the additional 10 participants. So now it's time to conclude this third Asia Pacific Leadership Conference opening session. I want to really, congratulate all the participants for joining this and wish you very well in the coming study program. Please, once again, invest strongly and enthusiastically, and you'll really get maximum out of it. It's going to be a great and enjoyable program. Don't forget the forum this coming Saturday as well on the 23rd. So, in closing, I'd like to thank everybody. I'd like to thank the presenters. I'd like to thank very much the technical staff for putting this together, and also all of our participants. And we wish you a very fruitful and enjoyable Ambassadors Asia Pacific Leadership Conference. Thank you again. Wish you a very enjoyable weekend, and God bless you all. Thank you.